in American history, absolutely in a generation. So look to him as a success story, as an entrepreneur who built a company and paid enormous sums in taxes, as it now turns out. 2005 alone, $38 million in federal taxes on top of the taxes, every other state tax and local taxes that he has to pay. So it is an enormous sum of money that he paid.
David, because, I think Rachel Maddow thought this was a big gotcha moment. As it turned out, it turned into her Al Capone moment. Nothing burger. But there are some who have suggested, hey, on the bottom of the second page of that, it said client's copy. And they have said, in fact, the investigative journalists wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump himself leaked it because he looks so good with this.
Yeah, look, that's ridiculous. President Trump is a very private person. He takes his privacy, the safety of his family, and his business empire very seriously.
Leak it? Who did leak it?
I wish I knew. Look, whoever
Who do you think? Somebody at the IRS?
Well, look, I have no idea. There's a lot of people in the pipeline that have access to copies. Clearly, this is from 12 years ago now, so I have no idea how this would get into the media. This happened during the campaign as well. So we saw once before that something just mysteriously appeared in somebody's mailbox. So this is not the first time. Yeah. I hope it's the last.
The guy is David K. Johnston, by the way.
Never heard of him.
Right. Neither has the president, according to his tweet. The White House did release a statement saying this was a desperate move for MSNBC and saying that it was illegal, so it doesn't sound like something he would have released. Laura Ingraham last night was talking about the leaks and the latest leak, which is this tax return leak. Listen to this.
Those who leak this information must be found, must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Absolutely.
Only a certain number of people have access to information. That digital footprint is there. It can be rooted out. Everyone needs to be brought in. Needs to be deposed. Everyone needs to lie detector tests, and you have to figure this out. Until that's done, I don't think anyone in the Trump administration.
David, what's your reaction to that?
She's so good and so right. I served as the chief investigator for Congress for several years, and I can tell you, if I was there today, I'd be urging my chairman, whether it was Devin Nunes and Chaffetz, to use the power of Congress, as well as urging the FBI and DOJ to do this. But Congress has a special oversight that they can get in and really try to root out these bad elements inside the government that are really taking hold and really trying to counter President Trump's agenda with their just really malicious leaks.
Okay, and David, I know you started by saying, look, the narrative from the Democrats has been the reason, he didn't pay federal taxes. Now we released that year he did. The very latest is the DNC says the reason he's going to release his taxes other years is because he owes money to the Russians. It's back to the Russia thing.
I actually sorry for these people. They have nothing. They have offered the American people absolutely nothing since our November victory on ideas, on policy, and on a way forward for American workers. President Trump every single day is offering a better way, a different way to go that we've been over the last 8 years, and that's what's making him so successful. That turned the American economy literally around on a dime. His optimism, his hope, growth, and opportunity agenda for America, for all Americans, bringing jobs home, bringing jobs back to America, making American companies want to participate in the American workforce is just a thing. You just look at the job numbers from February. He's hitting it out of the park, and that's just the beginning.
Right. I would love to see him use two numbers now because he's just getting in. The number of people that have just been pushed out of the workforce because they can't get a job, and the numbers that, which is 4-point-something% of people, the unemployment number, which is incredibly small, and we could work on both those figures. But there is another news alert as it revolves around today's travel ban. And that is that these GOP, according to Fox News, are using religious to enter into the U.S. Is this behind the reason for the redone?
Well, I think this needs to be part of what they look at. The extreme vetting, as President Trump has talked about. This is a perfect example of why we need extreme vetting from all countries across the world. We know back in, I think, 2004, Hamas used this exact program to try to infiltrate America with about 200 different bad guys. And I think that this has been called out by many leaders, by many religious leaders, the country and for years, and I think that the president is looking at these types of programs exactly as the reason why he says we need extreme vetting.
So let's talk about Obamacare and the repeal and replace. Problems within the Republican camp. Amongst the people very upset by this plan and says back away, Senator Tom Cotton. Why do you think the president hasn't tried to rein Senator Cotton in and said, you're hurting Paul Ryan's chances, a plan I back, by coming out continuously and say, walk away?
Well, look, I think the House is going to be passing a bill that the Senate is seriously look at. I think the White House is looking at this as let's get a really good repeal and replace together, bringing all sides together, which I know they are currently working with the Freedom Caucus and many others across Congress. Paul Ryan, very good job of now trying to bring everybody together. I think they're going to bring together a bill that the American people can be proud of and the Republican Congress can pass, and then the Senate will have their chance to make changes, to bring amendments. And I think that
he's then together, David, he's making it harder for the House to pass it. Why?
No, I don't think I don't think Senator Cotton is making it harder. Is a senator participating in the process from the other side of the Hill, telling his colleagues on the House side exactly what he thinks needs to be in the bill to make it easier for the Senate to pass it. I think there's different ways to view what he's doing. I look at Senator Cotton as one of the smartest, most men in the Senate, and I think the House leadership needs to heed what he is saying, and I think the White House is listening as well.
All right.
Thank you, David Bossie, live with us this morning. Great to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let's hand it over to Abby Huntsman, who has some headlines for us. Good morning.
Good morning, you guys. We do have some other headlines to get to this morning, starting with President Trump. He is hitting the road today. The first stop, Detroit, where he is given those in the automakers their voice back. He's planning to halt a costly Obama-era order mandating all cars reaching 50 miles per gallon by 2025, blaming them for hurting the industry. Then the president will head from the Motor City to the Music City, holding a rally in Nashville, pitching the new GOP healthcare plan to the people. And is the FBI investigating the Trump administration's ties to Russia? Director James Comey expected to reveal that today, at least according to one Democratic lawmaker. Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse says he met privately with the FBI director about wiretapping. The senator also says Comey promised he would go public with that decision. And now to some extreme. East is digging out after a major storm pounds the region with heavy wind and ice. Airports slowly getting back to track after canceling thousands of flights yesterday. Driving also dangerous. A tractor, look at this, a tractor trailer sliding on the ice, jackknifing on a bridge in Boston. Yikes. And in Rhode Island, this wind turbine snapping completely in half. Humans choose to stay inside these ponies. They were just horsing around New York City. The NYPD had to wrangle them up after they escaped from their stable. They just want a little joyride in the snow. Maybe they were looking for Santa Claus.
Maybe so.
Santa's not here for months. What's that about?
You never know.
You know.
You're always looking for Santa.
Okay.
So you kind of do associate the two. Thank you, Abby.
Snow. All right, coming up this Wednesday, a VA facility missing a portrait of President Trump. But not for long.
Get these hung up. We always say in the Army, right? Nothing takes 5 minutes.
Congressman, double amputee, Army vet Brian Mast, the congressman, taking action. Ed Henry has the update from D.C. coming up next.
And remember this family gaining instant fame thanks to their kids running around on live TV? He was being interviewed. The kids are behind him. What was going on behind the scenes? The parents are breaking their silence. It's a really cute story. We'll have it for you.
more than 50 years. It isn't easy getting in the back seat, but it's especially hard today because my pilot is blind.
Right now, I've got less than 5% of my field of vision left.
Jim Platzer used to be president for a Fortune 500 company, but he was forced into an early retirement due to retinitis pigmentosa, a degenerative condition that leads to blindness.
When I was 26, and the diagnosis was devastating, and there is no treatment and there is no cure.
But Jim, who had his pilot's license before he went blind, hasn't let a little thing like losing sight stop him from taking to the skies. That's where Joel Pierce, a flight instructor and the general manager at Sweet Aviation, comes in.
You called Joel and you said, hey, you know what, I can't see, but I want to be a pilot again.
Is that for real? Is this guy serious? But for the most part, I got his vision of what he was trying to do.
And now, the team has become a well-oiled flying machine.
In the F-18, you depend on your instruments to get you on the deck of that carrier. I depend, he's my instrument. He gives me all that verbal feedback. He paints that picture for me of my information I need to do to be successful.
Seems a little crazy, huh? So how do they do it?
Let's go. Hi. Here we go. Woo! We're flying.
We are, and now you can go ahead and raise the flap. Flaps up.
So Joel, is it safe?
Yes. I have a complete set of dual controls. One of the important things that we had was that if I was too disoriented, didn't understand what was happening in the cockpit, I would just say, Joel, your plane. He would take the controls.
So Jim, tell me about what it's to have this airplane in your control right now.
It's an awesome feeling to get back in the cockpit after going through visual impairment and figuring out that I am able to do this. Joel.
The guide pilot?
I'll tell you, there are some similarities between my guide dog Micah and Joel. When I'm up in the air, Joel is actually Micah.
So how would I do as Jim's guide pilot?
Jim, the airport is about 6 miles off our right wing. Let's make a 90 degree, about a 30 right turn to final.
Roger.
Okay, not bad. But how would I do flying blind?
You ready?
I'm ready. All right, I'm closing my eyes. I trust you. God, I gotta tell you, this feels really weird.
Banking, I'll look up right quick.
Okay. That was a little scary, but I'm gonna give it another try.
Let's try a right turn.
That's wing level?
Yep, there's wing level close.
That's wing level?
Yep. That's great.
If I had that experience, I would never understand how tricky it is and how challenging it is for does. I'm so impressed. I'm really amazed.
So what advice does Jim have for others facing overwhelming challenges?
Think outside the box. Be innovative in your approach. If you can't get there one way, find another way to get there.
Sometimes we think, okay, a blind guy can't fly an airplane. Well, I can.
Happy to be able to get these hung up. We always say in the Army, right? Nothing takes 5 minutes.
GOP Congressman and Army veteran Brian Mast taking action, demanding portraits of President and VA Secretary that they are hung back up inside empty frames at a VA facility in West Palm Beach.
Here with an update is Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry. So, Ed, they didn't have at this VA facility down in Florida, they didn't have a picture. So he took some, put them up, and then they took them down again?
Congressman Brian Mast took matters into his own hands. Guys, this is a dramatic example, it appears, of how bureaucrats around the country are just simply not accepting Donald Trump as president of the United States. So Congressman Mast, the Republican down there in Palm Beach, called me yesterday and said he decided to take matters into his own hands. You see that photo there? He went down to the VA field office in West Palm Beach. Of course, right in Donald Trump's neighborhood, not far from Mar-a-Lago, of course, and brought photos. You see Secretary from the VA, President Trump, a photo as well of Vice President. This is standard operating procedure in every government office around the country. So if you had a VA field office in Boston, for example, back in the Obama days, you walked in, there'd be an official portrait of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and the VA secretary. So far in West Palm Beach, they have refused to hand Shulkin photos. That's why Congressman Mast took matters into his own hands. Now, we're now told, and we've been looking overnight, local stations in Palm Beach are reporting that the VA in West Palm Beach has taken the Trump-Pence portraits back down, saying that this was unauthorized by the Republican congressman to do this. They need to authenticate the photo somehow, as if they don't realize this is really Donald Trump. And they're not explaining why, about 50 days into this administration, they haven't hung the photos themselves. I mean, if this congressman has to take matters into his own hands, why haven't the VA bureaucrats simply said, okay, Donald Trump's now president of the United States, let's hang the photo? They're not endorsing him or getting behind him. He is the president. He is the commander in chief. And what's interesting, of course, Brian Mast is not just any congressman. He lost both legs serving this country for the U.S. Army in Afghanistan.
Ed?
Okay, and stepped into an IED. So this is not just some random congressman showing up at the VA.
Okay, so the latest is apparently the people at the VA in West Palm Beach, they're saying, yeah, okay, those are pictures of the VA secretary and Donald Trump, but they've got to come office. You can't just walk in and
so
put
what do they want, a
That's
photo from the White House? Maybe the president will FedEx them a photo today so they'll office. I mean, this is beyond.
He's going down there this weekend. He should just show up. Where's my picture?
I hadn't thought of it. You're right. He's on his way home this weekend. He should stop at the VA office and go help the patients, by the way, there who are still making a picture.
How did the congressman find this story? Was he there at the VA, or did he get complaints?
He called me yesterday, the congressman. I had recently met the congressman at a charity event, and he called me yesterday and basically said, you're not going to believe what's going on, that he had been getting phone calls, I believe, from VA patients going in there, and I don't know whether he himself, the congressman, had at a VA facility or not, but he said he had been told that this was going on. He called over there several times and said, look, we'll send photos, what can we do? And they kept saying no. So he said, I'm going over there.
All right.
Well, they look terrible. They look bad.
Yeah, maybe they'll finally fix it. It's so silly, it's beyond ridiculous.
Keep us posted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next on the run, another community turning into a sanctuary city defiance of the president. But the city's vice mayor says the voters don't want it. He's going to join us live with what they really want. That's next.
Tonight, Trump rally reaction. After the president lays out his agenda, Gingrich, Elder, and Clark have powerful insight on a special live Hannity.
Monopole, I got no direction, but we're all playing the same game. All looking for redemption, babe. I'm just afraid to say the name. So God, I'm now in pretending. What we're seeking is the truth. Just looking for a happy ending. All I'm looking for is you now. You came upon me wave on wave. You're the reason I'm still here, yeah. No matter what you were sent to see, you came upon me wave on wave. I wandered out into the water, and I thought that I might drown. I don't know what I was after, babe. I just knew I was going down. And that's when she found me. I'm not afraid anymore, no. She said, you know I always had you, babe. Just waiting for you to find what you were looking for. You came upon me, wave on. You're and I'm still here, yeah. No matter what you were sent to say, you came upon me, wave on. Wave Am I the one you were sent to see? You came a long way.
Done news in a while. Let's do news by the numbers. You can play at home. First, 2009. That's the last time CEOs were this optimistic about the economy. The survey finding top company bosses are upbeat about hiring, investment, and sales over the next 6 months. Next, 3. Today, the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates for the 3rd time since December of 2015. The hike will likely be felt across the economy, gradually pushing up rates for everything from mortgages to credit cards and loans. That's good news. Kinda. Sorta. And finally, 500. That's how many sanctuary cities there are now in the United States of America. A Midwest political group reporting a massive surge in the number of places trying to defy President Trump's order, which happens to be the law of the land. People?
All right, speaking of that, onto the cities moving closer to sanctuary cities. San Carlos, California. That is now a safe zone for illegal, itself a welcoming city.
Joining us now to explain this is San Carlos, California Vice Mayor and City Council Member Matt Grocott. Thank you so much, Matt, for being with us. So what is the difference? Explain that to us in a sanctuary city and a welcoming city, which is your city symbolically, at least now.
Correct. San Francisco, for instance, is a sanctuary city, meaning they do not cooperate at all with ICE. If ICE calls them, my understanding is they do not cooperate. A welcoming city is simply not forthcoming. We have somebody in custody and they know, because of going through the process of asking questions, asking for documentation and so forth, they can figure out pretty readily that somebody is not a citizen, but they're not going to call ICE and say, hey, we've got this person in custody.
But you do work with ICE if ICE comes knocking on their doors.
If ICE comes knocking on the door, we do work with them. And actually, there is a list of priorities that ICE has, individuals that they want to have custody of, like gang members, for instance. And if our sheriff's department, who we contract with for our police department, if they know someone is a gang member, they will cooperate with ICE.
All right. So, Matt, why did your town pass this exactly? Is this just to be defiant of the President of the United States?
Well, it's interesting. There was obviously organized group, the ACLU was involved, and they came to us at the prior council meeting with a proposal already written and asked us to put it on the dais, and in our council members to agree to something to put it on the dais, 3 did, and so it was scheduled for 2 weeks later.
What do you think about it? Are you in welcoming city?
No, I'm not, and I think the only thing that actually happened when we passed this resolution, which was reaffirming us as a welcoming city, is policy-wise, it didn't change anything, because the directives it gives is exactly how our sheriff's department already operates. Right. But perhaps what it did do is revive the argument, the debate that has been going on since Governor Brown of California was governor the first time back in 1978, which is, should local law enforcement, when they know they have somebody in custody who's not a citizen, should they make with federal authorities to turn that person in?
And of course, now yours is a welcoming city, makes it all a little different. Matt Grocott, we thank you very much for joining us today from San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Meanwhile, do you remember this?
And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass.
Jonathan Gruber, the Obamacare architect, is talking again, this time about the Republican replacement bill for Obamacare, and you won't believe what he has said.
And parents, you need to stop your children from playing tag. Why? It is way too dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
It's the wussification of America. Yeah.
At Morrison's, all these medium Easter eggs are £1 each. Easter, Morrison's makes it.
Experian know life is full of important steps. And now, Experian Credit Matcher helps next towards financial control. First, get your Experian credit score free forever. Then use Credit Matcher to find credit cards and loans you're more likely to be accepted for. Take work out of searching for credit cards and loans at experian.co.uk.
There's something unusual happening at Yes Bingo site. A unique, totally free-to-play game called Stars, where a lucky few will win a share of £30,000 every week. Simply reveal your stars each day to be in with a chance of winning. Find yours for free at Tombola.
Duet is the original energy-saving blind from the inventors of honeycomb cell technology. Duet blinds trap air inside, keeping rooms cooler in summer, reducing heat loss in winter, and can help save on your energy bills. Child safe, super stylish, Duet energy-efficient blinds come in a wide range and textures. Find out more at duet.co.uk. Duet, energy efficient style.
Hopefully this year Judy's coming round here, and Judy has been round here. It's the best thing I've ever seen. And it to normal people.
It does. You're not an actress, you're a winner. From Mexico, here we come. A 10-year anniversary next year. Oh, wow.
Get your ticket before midnight on the 22nd of March.
Now we're going to next.
In New York, even the BBC has a weather reporter on staff. And keep a special eye on the guy in the background here for tonight's snowstorm edition news.
New York City has had about 1,500 plows out all day on a continuous cycle cleaning. And officials are warning people that if there's no reason to go out, doors.
Look, it was his big chance to be on television. He was on television. It was a twofer. Not only was he on the local news, he was on the big show.
Right.
With Jimmy Kimmel.
Hey, it's allowed. It's a free country. And by the way, he's a very good dancer.
For somebody who was freezing to death.
Yes, absolutely.
I love watching news bloopers. Do you ever do that? You can go on YouTube and watch it. As long as we're not part of it, it's always funny.
We've been part of plenty.
Yeah, most of mine on VHS tape.
All right. Meanwhile, let's go out to Adam Klutz. Let's see who's dancing behind him. Hey, Adam, good morning to you.
Hey, yeah, you got me excited. I wish there were people out here.
Me too. Brian,
do it
go
a little
out.
bit myself, perhaps.
Nice.
That keep me warmer out here. The temperature's frigid. The snow that's behind me, I don't think it's going to be melting anytime soon. We're talking about cold air lingering today, lingering the next couple of days. It's all about these temperatures dropping, and that means the snow that we've seen, it's not going to go anywhere. There have been folks who've really seen it pile up. It's been a little farther north than New York City, but there's spots running up into the 30-inch range, the mid-30s. How about those temperatures? Yeah, dropping down into 20s, in some cases getting down into the teens, but it's still breezy out here. It was windy yesterday. That was all part of the blizzard. It keeps it feeling even colder. So temperatures in most spots down into single digits, in some spots getting down closer to zero, maybe numbers, and it's not just the Northeast. This is something the entire eastern half of the country is going to be dealing with. These are winter advisories, freeze advisories taking it down all the way to central Florida for tomorrow morning. So cold air really settling in, and there's the look for tomorrow morning. Absolutely everyone going to be dealing with this cold weather in the next couple of days, guys.
Indeed. All right, Adam. Okay.
Keep dancing. Keep
behind you. Behind you. Look behind you. Yes. Very nice. It's a dance-off.
Right.
He's doing a much better job than you.
Right.
No way. I could dance off with her.
Let's see it. Come on, Mr. Big Talker.
What, can I drop the mic?
Yeah,
I'll
go
do
ahead.
like
Drop the...
I'll dust
good
them
job.
off.
Right.
I'm done.
That was like professional
Very
training.
cute.
That's very good.
But look at this. The New Yorkers in the background don't care.
That guy's got some moves.
Absolutely. He doesn't need footprints on the ground to know how to dance.
I just love that no one walking behind you, Adam, is even looking at you, and no one cares in New York. It's like when we were riding around in the Ghostmobile for Ghostbusters, no one even looked.
Right.
It's New York. You see everything on the street.
I would love to find out who that girl was behind him.
She looked familiar.
She did.
I would love to someday.
Apparently
know
that
who
was
they are.
Savannah Guthrie.
Right.
All right, this next segment is called the wussification of America, because we have a few stories
Why
to bring
would
you
that
this
be?
morning.
Because there's something happened at California Elementary School?
Shocker.
Right.
There's the school in California where they sent a letter home to all the parents saying you're not allowed to play tag anymore.
Yes, because it's getting too rough. Here's the quote from the district. In this case, kids were getting too rough, so the school told to stop playing those games like tag. It's not uncommon for a school to enact specific recess rules to address specific behavior problems.
And it's not just tag. Apparently, it's flag football and stuff like this. But here's an idea for the educators. Rather than just stop, why don't you educate the kids? Hey, kid, you're getting too rough. So if you do that again, you're going to have a timeout. Nobody, when you're a kid,
you know what happened, though. You know what really happened.
What's that?
The slow kid kept getting tagged. He got home and told his parents, who called the principal and said, my kid's slow, keeps getting tagged. It hurts his feelings.
They didn't say slow. They said it was too rough.
I'm cutting through it, Steve. I know the controversy.
That may be the case. Maybe it did get too rough. So you
Serpentine.
Sit down.
In and out.
You sit down. Suddenly he's channeling Peter Falk. You sit the kids down, and what you do is you go ahead and you tell them what's the matter with playing too rough, and if you want to play again in the future, calm things down. Don't take away tag, and don't take away flag.
You know what that means? If they took away tag, that means there's no dodgeball, and that was the even better game.
I hate
that
to
was
say
the best one.
But it could lead to musical chairs. Which, by the way, if you want to crush a kid, you leave them standing at the end when they pick up when they stop the music. It just crushes children.
You know what? How is this going to affect them?
I get tense just thinking about it.
Here's the thing: how is it going to affect them later in life? They're not going to get a job at that business. We interviewed the CEO earlier. It's called the Silent Partners Marketing Company, because he will not hire snowflakes.
So you young activists, character, you 8th place trophy holders, until you realize that this is earned by this, then you will never be able to actually survive in the working world. We have the most well-stocked...
So that's Kyle Reyes, the CEO of this marketing company up in Connecticut. And what he did was he saw so many people who wanted jobs, but he just felt they were inappropriate for his business. So he developed a snowflake test, a survey, and the way you answered the questions would determine whether or not job. He was with us a little bit earlier. Here's what he said.
I wanted to be able to have individuals in my company who would sort of fit the culture, not just the culture of our company, but the culture of our clients too. And we needed to have people who aren't snowflakes. For people who are not entitled, who don't have the sense that they should just be handed things, but people who have that entrepreneurial mindset, who are willing to think outside the box and who are willing to everything that they have.
You know, he brings up a good point, though. In that video, you think about these kids who are too scared to play tag and their parents don't want to play tag. Imagine if they go head against ISIS. Like, that's not the kind of person
let's hope they don't have
fighting
to.
for our country.
By the way, I do have a confession to make.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've made it before on television.
Okay.
But my mom did frame a 6th place certificate. It was blue for 6th place in the Broad Jump summer recreation.
All right.
Seriously?
So, yeah, so it's embarrassing.
So you came in 6th place and they gave you a trophy.
No, they gave me a certificate that said
Same
for
thing.
sure. They couldn't believe
You're
that
Ben
I did
Stiller.
so poorly.
You're Ben Stiller.
Participation certificate.
You're Ben Stiller in Meet the
Yeah,
Fockers.
I'm saying, yeah.
Remember his dad's like,
Right.
here, 12th place trophy.
Right. It is very similar, and I would kill to find that today because I would put that right up.
Your mom is so sweet.
Oh,
she
real
loves
quick.
you.
Abby.
Oh, tag. Brian, that story explains so much about you.
He just tagged you. You have some headlines.
Just tag me. I'm going to go out and get him after this. Right? We did some headlines too. Remember Jonathan Gruber, MIT professor and the architect of Obamacare? Well, he's now slamming the GOP's replacement plan called scam.
Replace that they would pass would result in millions of Americans losing health insurance. Now, if they are happy with that and they're willing to do that, then they can replace. I wouldn't call that a replacement. I'd call that a scam.
Well, now this is the same man who described it as stupid for allowing Obamacare to pass. Listen.
Transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really critical to getting the thing to pass.
Gruber also admitting that he helped fool the Congressional Budget Office by disguising Obamacare's taxes as mandates. Take a look at this horrifying picture showing a woman's burnt face after her headphones explode 30,000 feet in the air. Look at that. She fell asleep listening to music on a flight from Beijing to Australia when she woke up to sparks and flames shooting out. Well, investigators say it was probably the lithium-ion batteries inside the headphones that started the fire. No word yet on the brand of those headphones. Also, this Ben Affleck he just completed a stint in rehab for alcohol addiction. The actor says he took it upon himself to get help because his problems with alcohol abuse started up again. Writing this on Facebook, he says this was the first of many steps being taken towards a positive recovery. Alcohol reports fueling Affleck and his wife Jennifer Gardner's divorce, which is reportedly now on hold. And the professor whose BBC became a viral sensation after his children crashed it. We all saw this last week. It's now speaking out for the first time, laughing about what happened. Watch.
I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
So good. Well, the British network did welcome Robert Kelly back, and this time his kids did not have a guest appearance.
We were worried, actually, that the BBC would never call us again. Actually, that was actually our first response, or sort of mortification that we had just sort of completely blown our relationship with you. Once my son came in the little roller, then it was then there was nothing I could do.
How cute is this family? They are now an internet hit after the original interview with more than 21 million fans on Facebook. So they live in South Korea. Probably the best video that we've seen in a really long time.
That is so cute, isn't it?
It's like that.
No.
She's out. But it's no fair. You're in heels. I wouldn't be able to get you, Abby.
Yeah, listen, if you want to put them on, go ahead.
That's true. Yeah, it's final. Tag with heels.
Okay.
All right.
I love that video, though. That's so cute.
Hilarious.
All right, coming up, what happens when a Republican and a Democrat get stuck in a car together for hours? It's not the Woodhouse brothers. You're looking at the other two brothers. I guess they're brothers. Two guys. No, they're not brothers. All right. Could this finally be a way to unite the country? You got to hear their story coming up.
Can't wait. And are you suffering from a debilitating addiction? Addiction to technology is on the rise, and our next guest says, not an accident. Wake up call coming up to phone.
But we know that one's money, and we know it's staying top 10 no matter what.
After serving in Iraq, Patrick Baker had a dream of becoming an entrepreneur by revolutionizing the high-end necktie market. But before going out on his own, he's spending a year as a paid apprentice with the military-themed apparel company Ranger Up.
What I would like to learn from this mostly is inventory control, ordering, warehouse management, and then wholesaling.
The biggest challenge for veterans in general is they leave the military and they have a lack of mission and a lack of support.
What do we have that came in today? As an Army veteran, Ranger Up CEO Nick Palmisano knows this firsthand. So his company launched a Vetrapreneur program. Ranger Up will pay Patrick Baker for the year he spends at that company and then invest money to help him launch his own startup business.
We have an opportunity to take somebody and teach them everything we know and set them up for success so that they can go through all the challenges we went through, but with a little support, and go out there and be successful.
There's a lot of resources for vets that they don't know about. And they're out there. It's just you have to ask. So reach out. The veteran community doesn't stop when you get out.
The program operates on a pay-it-forward philosophy. So veteranpreneurs who establish their own businesses are encouraged to reinvest in the veteran community by hiring and mentoring. In Durham, North Carolina, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Hello, I'm Dr. Manny. I'm here to answer your questions. Food allergies in children have been on the rise for years. It's now estimated that between 2 and 10% of all kids in the U.S. have one. Here's a question from a viewer.
Dear Dr. Manny, my 6-year-old son was born with a peanut allergy, but a blood test shows he's no longer sensitive to it. How is this possible, and is it really okay to give him peanuts again? Thanks.
Thanks for your email. Food allergies, particularly peanut allergies, can be life-threatening, so I understand your concerns. A recent study finds that genes actually play a role in peanut sensitivities. The finding can help determine if a child will have an allergy or not. Kids tend to grow out of milk and egg allergies, but it is less likely with peanut allergies. For more on how to integrate peanuts back into your son's diet, we talked to an expert.
It is never 100% safe to reintroduce a food that you suspect you or your child has as an allergy, particularly a peanut allergy responsible for very severe and life-threatening reactions. Always work with a trained professional, a board-certified allergist that is equipped to properly evaluate you, gauge the risks, and treat you correctly so that you're out of harm's way.
Thanks, Doc. Do you have a health question? Email them at drmanny@foxnews.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.
All right, are you suffering from a debilitating addiction? You may be and not even know it. Addiction to technology is on the rise. And our next guest says it's not an accident. You can't stop staring at your smart screen. There's a science behind it. Psychologist Adam Alter thinks so. He is the author of this brand new book. It's called Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked. And he joins us now. Adam, you tell us you're on the way to Australia. It's a 24-hour ride. And a flight attendant comes up to you and said, I've never seen someone stare at their phone and do one thing for 24 straight hours. What did that trigger to you?
Yeah, I was sitting and playing a game the entire way. Basically suggested that there was something about this experience that was very, very hard for at least me to resist. And then when I started looking around, I found that there were a lot of other people in the same situation.
What is going on in your body that allows you to continue to do this over and over again? And what do you mean it's not an accident?
We get a lot of really positive feedback from these experiences. They make us feel really good. And as a result, the body produces certain hormones, certain chemicals that make us feel excellent. And so we just keep doing this thing over and over and over again. And unfortunately, the way these apps, these games are designed, they're basically designed to do that over and over again. So it's very hard for us to stop.
So you find out, do a book on this. Do some research. You find out the creators of these games in many cases have reacted. They don't bring their technology home. They don't let their kids play with these games because they know what they're doing to us.
Yeah, I found that really staggering. So basically there's a school, for example, in Silicon Valley. It's a no-tech school. So there are no phones, there are no tablets, there's nothing. 75% of the kids there have parents who are in the tech world. They're tech CEOs and execs.
So you have adjusted your life because of this. You're a parent.
Yeah, I have an 11-month-old, and I do what I can. I'm with him, so the few hours in the afternoon and evening, not to have my phone anywhere nearby. When he was very young, he reached over and he swiped the phone, and it was one of the first things that he did that showed me that he was a really sort of smart, thinking little guy. And as soon as he did that, he smiled at me, and I knew that he was getting those same pieces of feedback.
So, Adam, what people also should understand is it's already affecting us in terms of attention span, be able to interact with people, to feel empathy.
Yeah.
When you're on these phones or whatever, iPads, you lose some of that human interaction. It's already happening over the last 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's changing the way we interact. It changes how sensitive we are to other people's emotional cues. We just aren't as good at communicating today as we once were.
Do you think some of the creators of these games are doing this for a diabolical way? Do they not know what they're doing?
I think they wouldn't think of it this way. They'd say that we're just making the best products possible, but it just so happens that those products become very hard for us to shake.
At NYU, you're a professor. This is your specialty, psychology. So have you still, what would you hope people gain from this book?
Well, I think it gives them a lot of ways to manage the issue. So I make a number of suggestions. For example, you want to make sure that there are certain periods of the day where it's just you and your kids or your family, your friends, no tech, you and nature, whatever it is that you want to do, it should be tech-free.
And this does tap into your brain to get you addicted. And next thing you know, days and hours just slip by.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. It's called Irresistible. Adam Alter, professor of marketing at New York University Stern School of Business. And congratulations on the book, Adam.
Thank you.
And I still can't understand how you could do one thing for 24 straight hours, even though I knew there was an addiction. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Coming up straight ahead, it was supposed to be the bombshell of the year.
The First Amendment gives us the right to publish this return. It is not illegally published, nor are we fake. Pinch me, I'm real.
Yeah, pinch me. The whole thing blew up on you. Rachel Maddow, big scoop turned into a big bust, and Twitter went crazy and hasn't stopped. Carly Shimkus decided to do a whole segment on it, and she's walking our direction. Nobody can stop.
The room was completely black. I hugged her and she hugged back. Like the sailor said, quote, ain't that a hole in the boat? My head keeps...
Tonight, we are live with the President's speech. Plus, we get reaction and analysis from Brit Hume, Karl Rove, and Anthony Scaramucci. Don't miss the first 100 days.
Hi, this is Fox Extra, and I'm Jackie Ibanez. A little gentle tapping in the right place appears to help some deal with life a little bit better. Fox's Julie Banderas has more.
Closer and closer. I'm getting closer and closer. To my goals. To my goals. Becoming accomplished. Becoming accomplished.
It may look strange, but tapping, or EFT, is just one of the alternative therapies 34-year-old Kate Duff uses to reduce stress.
I'll do the tapping in the morning when I get to work.
Kate is a busy entrepreneur and co-founder of a startup called 3 Fluid Ounces. Stress was controlling her life.
I was over-exercising, I was eating like crazy, but I was also taking a lot of Xanax and Ambien and whatever I could get my hands on, because you needed something to sleep, something to stay up. It was kind of crazy.
She was lashing out at her business and her family and needed to make a change. So she tried energy healing exercises at the Lara Touch Studio in New York City. Lara Ann Riggio has been using the Chinese Meridian system and the Indian chakra system for more than 10 years. She was a skeptic at first until these therapies eased her chronic fatigue syndrome. Now she teaches exercises that work like acupuncture, but without the needles.
Emotional freedom technique is a way of stimulating all of the in the acupuncture system. Well, not all of them, but these are basically beginning or ending points along the meridian system.
As you tap those areas and repeat a mantra, Lara says you're retraining your body's reaction to stress. She also uses aromatherapy to swap out stressful thoughts for calming ones.
When we figure out which oil you need that's associated with a particular emotion, then you can duplicate this reaction anytime, anywhere.
When she's traveling, Kate does exercises like a cross-body posture to regain focus. And she has an occasional session in a John of God bed, which uses quartz crystals. While it may seem like nothing is happening, Lara says crystals relax clients like Kate.
It's a very, very high vibrational crystal, and you actually aim them at specific energy centers in the body. They're mainly used for chakra healing.
After Kate was sleeping normally. There are critics of these techniques, but after several months, Kate says she continues to see results.
I'm much calmer. I'm much more confident in my decisions and knowing, okay, these are the steps that we need to take to get us where we need to go. And I definitely don't lash out anymore.
Results can vary from person to person, and it's important to talk to a doctor before trying any new therapies. For more, go to thelaratouch.com. I'm Julie Banderas, Fox News.
Thanks for watching Fox Extra. I'm Jackie Ibanez. Keep it here.
The newsworthy firing that they did.
Well, Rachel Maddow devoted last night an entire hour to 2 pages of the president's tax return in 2005, but social media users not impressed, and this morning the Twitterverse is going crazy.
That is right, Steve. Here with more of their reactions.
setting the internet on fire. It's our Fox News Headline 24/7 reporter, Carly Shimkus.
What did she say?
I was about to introduce you, and I put a mint in. I was chomping on it, and he's laughing.
I was going to read for you, but she did. Of course, she has to. She has to
hog the camera.
Yeah.
We appreciate Carly. Good to
minty fresh
First
breath.
off, the huge news last night.
Well, it all started out on social media with a single tweet from Rachel Maddow. She said, "We've got Trump's tax returns tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Seriously, the suspense, the intrigue. Everybody on social media was talking about this. They wanted to know if there was going to be some big bombshell. If you missed it, here's a little bit of her opening monologue.
What I have here is a copy of Donald Trump's tax return. Aside from the numbers being large, these pages are straightforward. For the record, the First Amendment gives us the right to publish this return. It is not illegally published, nor are we fake. Pinch me, I'm real.
Pinch me.
Is not fake news. However, Donald Trump was tweeting this morning to
He
that
sure
point.
did. He actually addressed this already this morning. He said on Twitter, "Does anybody really believe that a reporter who nobody ever heard of went to his mailbox in my tax returns at NBC News? Fake news," referring to the reporter who gave Rachel documents.
Right, and that guy's been around forever, just hates Donald Trump and will do anything to destroy him, but it didn't happen that way because it turns out he pays 25% of his income to the government.
And that's President Trump's perspective. A lot of other people on social media were just like they were misled and just completely disappointed
Yeah, she made it sound
by
like
the entire show. Yeah, absolutely. Matt on Twitter said Rachel Maddow leaves viewers disappointed and annoyed for wasting their time. So basically her show every night. Mark says, "Dear Rachel Maddow, thank you for your epic fail on President Trump's taxes. I needed a good laugh." And then President Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr. chimed in. He said, "Thank you, Rachel Maddow, for proving to your Trump-hating followers how successful my dad is and that he paid $40 million in taxes."
The whole thing backfired on the left. They thought, oh, we're going to finally have the evidence that shows he didn't pay taxes. He paid a lot of taxes.
Absolutely.
Real quick, Carly, how do we get Republicans and Democrats together?
You get them in a car together. This, if nothing else today, this story is going to make you smile. I love it.
Great.
So 2 Texas congressmen, Will Hurd, who is a Republican, and Beto O'Rourke, who is a Democrat, they needed to get to Washington, D.C. yesterday because their flight was canceled due to the storm. They decided to rent a car together and drive from Texas to D.C. 24 hours. They're still on this road trip. They covered a lot of ground. They live streamed the whole thing. It is fantastic. This is what politics, guys, should look like.
So how did they get along?
They got along great.
But what did they do?
solve Obamacare?
You know what? Leave it to these two to actually do that. I agree.
Right, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you people in Texas. It doesn't matter which stripe
They
you are.
love
If you're
each
from
other.
Texas.
We need to have those on the show.
I think you should,
tomorrow
yeah.
to figure out what they talk about.
You know what? Just let them have a shower first, because that on the road for 24 hours could get a little stinky.
All right, Carly, thank you.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Well, we'll see you on the radio.
All right.
Channel 115.
Meanwhile, President Trump called it from the beginning, and now the experts agree. Terrorists are apparently trying to use our immigration system to get into the U.S. via visas, and they've been doing it for decades. The big question is, will Democrats listen?
All right, and Angie took another minute, so I'll read this one. And no more homecoming kings and queens. That's too offensive. The PC police has turned their tradition gender neutral ahead. Oh, my.
My husband, Jim, he used to plan and put money aside for everything, bless him. Presents for the grandkids, household bills. But the one thing we never saved for was his funeral. Well, you don't, do you? I wish we had, though. So when he died a few years ago, suddenly I was alone. And then the bills started coming, and what with the flowers, the funeral director, the coffin and the rest, I was looking at over £5,500. £5,500, and I needed it there and then. I scraped together what I could, but still had to ask my children for most of it. I felt terrible. They've got their own problems.
Now you can help protect your family from the high cost of a funeral with a funeral protection promise from Promise Life. You can choose cover from £1,000 to £20,000, and payouts are fast, guaranteed within 48 hours, or we'll pay an extra £100.
So I've made a promise that when my time comes, my family will have the money for the funeral when they need it. Cover starts from less than £2 a week. I've paid more for a coffee.
Call Promise Life now to help cover the cost of a funeral for just £1.81 a week. If you're aged 30 to 79, you're guaranteed to be accepted with no medical or blood test, and it takes just 15 minutes on the phone. We'll also give you a will kit. So call now on 0800 907 0800.
To make a promise of your own, call Promise Life today.
Dad? It's triplets.
That's nothing! I just rented a BMW 5 Series for only £49 from Sixt. I think I'll call him Son. Car Son!
Sixt! Drive smug!
We are repealing and replacing Obamacare. We don't want to have some endless, dragged-out thing where we never get this done. It's been 7 years long.
Call that a replacement. I call that a scam.
President Donald Trump's 2005 taxes and a blockbuster has now been released by NBC News.
Donald Trump paid more in tax in a percentage of his income than former President Obama and Bernie Sanders, the socialist.
Those who leak this information must be found, must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
A serious threat for homegrown terror. Security. We have been letting jihadis right through our borders.
This is a perfect example of why we need extreme vetting from all countries across the world.
I run the kind of marketing agency that you have always absolutely dreamed of working at.
But if you want a job, you'll have to pass the boss's.
No, I wanted to be able to have individuals work for my company who would sort of fit the culture. We needed to have people who aren't snowflakes.
We like it loud, we like it honking. The party won't be revving till we 11 get it rocking. Our boots are knocking.
These party songs when we share the White House. It's like there a party going on there?
Well, he's got a road trip today. He's heading out to Detroit. He's headed out to
Nashville.
And he's headed to our program today because he's headed to speak to Tucker Carlson tonight on the Tucker Show.
Instead of watching Rachel Maddow tonight, you have to watch Tucker's show because the president will be there with him.
Which no one watching now
never seen
watches
the
Rachel Maddow. Right? Is that on tape?
Haven't.
Well, last night was getting noticed because of what happened with the taxes and because there was some rumor about them being released, the 2005 tax.
Rachel is tweeting it out that she had the,
that's right.
the taxes.
So I did tune in to find out what was going on. After 22 minutes of finding out about oligarchs and planes and bank. And what is this going to build up to a climax?
Sure.
Like an after-school special?
And it did, and it was a big bust. It was a big nothing. As it turns out, in the year 2005, somehow she got a hold of, actually, an investigative reporter gave his presentation tonight on the radio show of 2 pages of his 2005 tax documents showed up in his mailbox. Was despite what Hillary Clinton said that he did not pay taxes, he did. In the year 2005, as you can see right there, he paid the 25% tax rate, which is high for rich people. He earned $153 million. He paid, as you can see, a little north of $36 million in taxes. He had a $100 million loss that tax year. And now people are talking about, hey, this almost makes it look Trump put these out himself because he looks great.
Because it was a good story. Well, the reporter who put them out said they arrived, these 2 pages from his 2005 tax returns arrived in his inbox on his computer, and he said that's why Rachel Maddow was saying this is legal. We're legally giving you this information because you're not allowed to release anyone's taxes unless you're authorized to do so. And Donald Trump is saying, I didn't authorize.
What about this guy, Nicholas Kristof at the New York Times? He actually put it out there. He's begging people, if you have Donald Trump's taxes, send them to me. I don't know if that's legal, but Donald Trump tweeted this. Does anyone believe that a reporter who no one ever heard of, David K. Johnston, went to his mailbox and found tax returns at NBC News? Fake news. And I look for Donald Trump to weave that somehow, because he tends to go off the prompter, to his Washington, or it's not Washington, Michigan or Nashville speech today.
Well, because he did say, look, it's fake news. We had David Bossie, who's been a counselor to the President of the United States, on this program an hour ago. And more of that fake news stuff that has hounded Mr. Trump. Listen to this.
This is a continuation of this fake news story that has been going on really to undermine this president for the last years, all throughout the campaign and all throughout the transition. All we heard at the campaign was the president paid no taxes. The president paid no taxes, and he's afraid of his tax returns. 2005 alone, $38 million in federal taxes on top of the sales taxes and every other state tax and local taxes that he has to pay. It is an enormous sum of money that he paid.
The DNC came out and said the only reason Team Trump isn't releasing complete returns is to hide ties to Russia. Russia. Everything's about Russia.
So NBC is tweeting, guess what? We've got his tax returns. Then they look at him and everything's above board. All it proves is that he made a lot of money and he paid a lot in taxes. And now they're trying to spin the story and say, maybe he was the one that released it. Maybe he's the one that wanted you to know that. Or maybe he's doing that to hide his ties to Russia.
Right. And if you watch MSNBC's reaction after, this is a horrible day after he won the election. It's a bad day for America. Somehow we're going to get through this. And since that day, they've been going after him. Tucker Carlson underlined that point last night on his show.
Complaints of election meddling? Given that company's conduct over the past 6 months, that is a bit rich. Consider the infamous Access Hollywood tape. Now, if you were living in America last fall, you certainly remember it, the shocking and vulgar remarks, the immediate and disastrous effect that tape had on Trump's poll numbers. It was a political bomb detonated in the final days of the most intense political race of our lifetimes. The fallout was so overwhelming that few paused to consider where that tape came from. So let's consider that now. That tape belonged to NBC, shot by NBC cameramen for an NBC show on NBC property. So how did it wind up in the hands of the Washington Post, which broke the story? How, in other words, did valuable intellectual property from one news organization end up benefiting a competitor? Intentional.
So more bad news from NBC, however, it boomeranged. In fact, it's to the point where Brian Fallon, who had Clinton's campaign manager, he tweeted out last night, hey, essentially, let's not get by the 05 return. Let's instead start to talk more about Trump care. And when you look at and this is why it's good news for Donald Trump, keep in mind over the last year or so, people have said he didn't pay any federal taxes. In comparison to other people, he paid a lot of taxes.
Including NBC.
Sure.
Steve, we all know you pay, the more money you make, you hire lawyers in order to pay as little tax as possible. That is part of the game.
Yeah, but look at this. Bernie Sanders paid 13%. You had former President Barack Obama. Can we put the graphic back up for a second? He paid south of 20%. Comcast was right at, for the most part, Donald Trump's rate. They paid 24. He paid 25. Look, nobody ever pays more tax than what is owed. And by looking at his particular tax return, these 2 pages, he didn't break any laws. So show's over.
You know what I learned from this? I got to pay my taxes.
Yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up.
Up soon, really soon. By the way, I just learned to do my signature automatically online. They just sent me my taxes back. I was able to find my signature. It looks kind of like mine. I was able to click it in and say, I've never done that before.
You do have to sign something.
Right. Well, eventually, I do it on the computer.
Yeah, you can do it on the computer.
And I click on auto signature. And it actually worked.
All right. So earlier we asked you what
Somebody now is trying to hack you.
Probably.
Brian, I like your tie.
Meanwhile, how about some tweets, Ainsley?
All right. This is from Joseph. He says, confirming that our president pays the same tax rate I do makes me support him even more.